On this episode of MythBusters, Jamie and Adam get that sinking feeling.
Oh man, oh that sound is so wrong.
To test the myth that if your vehicle plunges into the drink...
Oh my God, it's coming up under the windshield. Wow, I can feel the pressure.
Are you done, or is there a way to escape?
That is intense!
And meanwhile, in the biggest build of its kind in history...
This is gonna be the biggest piece of paper ever.
Grant, Tori, and Carrie attempt to squash the myth...
Flat as a pancake!
...that it's an impossible task to fold a piece of paper more than 7 times.
So it sounded so much easier on paper.
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage.
Ow, 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 ow.
And Jamie Hyneman.
It's almost too exciting.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience.
Cue dramatic music.
Joining them, Carrie Byron.
That's gonna be so cool!
Grant Imahara.
Listen to that baby purr!
And Tori Belleci.
Paramedics are nowhere to be found.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
Underwater car escape. Something tells me this involves a car in the water.
Shockingly, that is true. This is one I've been wanting to do almost since we started doing this show. The myth is that you're in a car, it goes over the side of a bridge or something into the water and it starts to sink. The myth is you will not be able to open that door until the cabin of the car fills up with water. And then you can open the door and escape.
Sounds like you might be cutting it kind of close, though.
That's exactly what we're going to find out.
It's the stuff of nightmares and spectacular movie stunts. But this sinking scenario is a real-life life threat. So, if you're in a vehicle that takes a dive into the drink, is it possible to escape, or would a watery grave be your fate? The myth is, if you're trapped in a sinking car, you have to wait until the cabin fills up with water and the pressure equalizes before it's possible to open a door and swim free.
I think it's pretty obvious what the plan for this one should be.
Yep. We got to get a real car, we got to put it in the water, and get inside it and go down with it.
Really, I've always wanted to be the dude in the car. You got to let me be the dude in the car.
You can be the dude in the car.
Yes!
Dude, better you than me. But before he gets his feet wet, Adam first sets up a small-scale pressure test. He fills a 3-foot-deep cylindrical tank with water. It's an interestingly improvised, rubbery contrivance that makes perfect sense to him.
On the right here is a box which represents my car. And like a car, it will let water in, but slowly. It'll leak out of a lot of the corners and edges. And when you see that happening, hopefully this unit will demonstrate that the pressure's higher here on this drum that's in the open water than it is on this drum that's in the car.
Adam places a small piece of Perspex loosely on the underside of the box that will represent the door of his car.
Ready?
Yep. Each foot the drum is lowered is equivalent to half a PSI of pressure. In the real world, that's a crushing 1,000 to 2,000 pounds of force on a door.
That's the pressure inside the car, that's the pressure of the water outside the car. If you're inside this car, you're trying to open this door, you can't, because the pressure outside is higher than the pressure inside. Pressure differential. It's happening!
Pressure differential occurs because water exerts greater pressure than air. When a vehicle sinks, the water presses on the doors, holding them shut. When the cabin fills with water, the inside pressure becomes the same as the outside, and it's only then its grip is released. After building up and up, the two lines finally meet.
Watch this door, watch this door.
And release.
There it goes.
To test this theory in a real-life situation, the plan is to suspend a car from a crane. Adam will be the trap driver in front, while Jamie will be in back wearing a rebreather. Then the car will be lowered into the watery depths, with safety divers monitoring the entire operation. Fresh from the classifieds, Jamie has found a classic American sedan with power windows. It runs great.
Never to start again.
Now to pull it apart.
First thing we need to do is remove the engine from the car because any oil, any fluids that would foul the water is going to be a problem.
First, he cuts the welds that hold the engine in place. Wisely putting safety before style, Jamie torches without his beret. Then he ties a chain around the engine that is attached to a forklift. Time to give it a gentle tug. Looks like it doesn't want to come out.
Well, it's holding it.
Maybe it just needs a little coaxing.
What's the matter? Haven't you ever seen somebody work on a car with an axe?
His opponent has been wounded and is starting to weaken.
It's coming.
After a protracted battle, the engine finally succumbs. Jamie is victorious, but the thrill of the kill has gone to his head.
I had to remove the engine from the car to clean the car up, so I did.
Well, there's your problem.
Now that the engine is out, he needs to add its equivalent weight back in.
This thing right here is our engine surrogate. We need to simulate the amount of weight that it represented because the car might settle into the water differently if we don't.
700 pounds of weight is lowered into the cavity.
This is Jamie's new hydrogen fuel cell engine.
And with the weighting checked off, it's time to make like Keith Moon and drive the car into the pool. To conduct their test, Campolindo High School in Moraga is kindly letting us use their aquatic center. Go Cougars!
This is a high school diving pool, and this is where we're going to sink our car. It's about 13 feet deep right here, which should be plenty for us to do our test. It's nice and warm. It'll be great.
Jamie's auto arrives on location. The engine cavity has been steam cleaned, so every trace of oil and grease is gone and won't foul the waters.
Where's the engine?
They attach heavy chains under, over, and in between the body of the car and fasten them to a hook suspended from a crane. This vehicle may not be able to drive, but it sure can fly.
Don't let it go too fast.
No, I know.
You're going to have trouble stopping it. There we go.
They park it on the side of the pool.
Lovely.
Then the crew mounts underwater cameras both inside and out for a fisheye view of what's happening beneath the surface. Aside from his burning enthusiasm, Adam has a burning question for safety diver Sean.
All right, Sean, so I'm gonna be in this car. It's gonna start filling up with water. I'm gonna hold my breath, but when I run out, what's the backup?
Well, the backup is sitting in your passenger seat right there.
That
40
guy.
cubic feet of air waiting for you with a 5-foot-long hose. Remember to purge it and breathe normally.
That's
until
already
we
hooked
get you
up.
out of there. It's ready to go.
And Jamie will be sitting here in his rebreather with this standing by in case I need it.
Correct.
Jamie isn't in the back just to look pretty. He's a certified dive master with 30 years of experience and 3,000 dives under his weight belt.
I'm just going to be sitting there relaxing, waiting for Adam to freak out, and then I'll be right there with the regulator.
So as not to skew the test by adding extra air, Jamie will be using a rebreather instead of regular scuba tanks. Rebreathers recycle exhaled breath and therefore don't create bubbles. It's a self-contained unit that's very 007. Adam's starting to lose his cool.
I'm actually a little freaked out because I'm gonna be like holding myself up off the dashboard. I'll be my face planted into the windshield in this thing. I didn't take that into account, and it's gonna make this a lot more difficult to stay focused and calm.
Let's go do it.
The safety divers swim into position. And Jamie has some final sage words of advice.
Adam, I only have one thing to say to you.
Yeah.
Don't pee in the pool. Because I'm in the car there with you.
Time for Adam to get inside for the ride of his life.
You ready?
I'm all set.
So, wearing no scuba gear, 13 feet underwater, does Adam think he'll sink or swim?
I think it's entirely likely I may need oxygen before this test is complete. I can't get it into gear. Is that a problem?
Jamie and Adam are testing the myth that if your car swerves off the road and into a body of water, to get out alive, you have to wait until it's completely submerged and full of water before you can open the door.
So did you know last year, AAA estimated 11,000 vehicles went off the road and into the water, and as a result of those accidents, 300 people died.
Holy cow, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I thought it was more like a freak accident.
No, apparently it's a lot more common than that.
Well, maybe we can help raise awareness a bit as to what these people are facing.
And what better way to raise awareness than to raise themselves in a car into the sky and plunge into a pool?
What the are we doing?
Remember, when Adam goes 13 feet under, he won't be wearing breathing apparatus. The paramedics are on their toes, and Adam has his escape strategy all worked out.
I'm going to try to start opening this door the moment I see the water get above my glass. Now, if the myth is true, I won't be able to open that door until the water level inside the car gets to the same point.
Deep breaths, Adam, deep breaths. It's way too late to put on the brakes.
I couldn't stop now if I wanted to.
As the water rushes in, Adam is getting that sinking feeling.
Oh, man.
The crane chains go slack, and the car is sinking on its own. The 700-pound fake engine is taking it down nose first, exactly as it would in a real situation.
The water's up to my butt now. All right. Okay, it's coming past my waist. Now I can start to see under the water. Oh my God, it's coming up under the windshield. Wow, I can feel the pressure. All right, I only have a couple more breaths here.
Adam's never this quiet. So what's going on down there? The water is leaking in from every open crevice in the car, and Adam is now fully under. He holds his breath, tugs on the door, pushes his whole weight against it, but nothing happens. Finally, he can't hold his breath any longer and signals for Jamie to pass him the regulator. When the pressure ultimately equalizes, he opens the door and swims to the surface. But it was too late.
Woo! That is intense, no matter how you slice it. I died. Let's just put it that way.
Well, that's put a dampener on things. From the time the water hit Adam's knees to when he surfaced took just 1 minute and 51 seconds. But that's a long time when you're drowning.
The fact is, even though you do go vertical, you don't feel like it because the water is filling the cabin at that point. So you're kind of floating. I held my breath, I don't know, for what felt like 30 seconds, trying to push open that door, using my legs, bracing up inside the cab.
Well, you died.
Yeah, I died.
Jamie's passive observer view was a little eerie.
I'm just sitting there watching the guy drown. He's like just going nuts on that door. He's really using up his oxygen, and it didn't take him that long to run out. You don't want to be in a car when it goes down like that. It's scary.
The bottom line is Adam ran out of air before he could open the door.
That myth is confirmed. I could not open that door until the cab seemed to be full of water for a while.
Yeah, you were giving it all you could, and you just weren't able to do anything with that door until we started to level out. That's the point that you opened the door.
Yeah.
And that was quite a while.
Differential pressure can be such a downer. But now, let's cut to a new myth.
All right, this myth has been around forever.
Okay, what is it?
You can't fold a piece of paper in half more than 7 times.
I don't believe it. Let's do it.
That's why I brought a piece of paper.
All right, let's see. Show us.
All right, that's 1.
This myth is a MythBusters fan site special request. It's a theory that most people first hear in elementary school, and Carrie is finding out it isn't child's play.
Don't break the table.
There's 7. Come on, Carrie, one more. One more, you can do it.
Pump it.
Not giving up yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
8 does. I don't think 8 worked. I think that's 7.
You know what, there's got to be a way to fold this piece of paper more than 7 times.
Okay, well, let's break this down and figure out what it takes to fold it 8 times or more.
I have a feeling you're going to get math involved again.
Correct, Carrie. It's called exponential growth. Every time you fold a piece of paper in half, it gets twice as small and twice as thick. A piece of paper folded just 7 times quickly multiplies to 128 layers. 8 folds doubles again to 256 layers. And the theory is, this is too thick to bend.
Folding paper is so exciting.
To add even more excitement, the team is going to try to bust this myth by making it a friendly competition.
Okay, so the challenge is each of us has 2 hours to take these pieces of paper and see how many times we can fold them. The person that folds them the most wins.
Using standard letter 8.5 by 11 office paper, our first contender, Tori Balachi, steps up.
First, you must massage the paper to get it relaxed so that it'll fold easier. It's 1.
Tori's basic method of folding and rotating is smooth all the way, until he gets to number 7.
This is a tricky one here.
To bend the paper to his will, he needs reinforcements.
Where's the mallet?
Just a gentle nudge is all it needs.
Number 8.
Is he about to wrench this myth open already? The pressure is on to bring it home to 8.
8. Got it.
Or did he? His fellow competitors are not convinced his brute strength technique really worked.
I think you managed to wad it in half 8 times, but look. That's not half.
There's 1.
That's not a fold.
Oh, and you cut the paper.
You cut the paper.
Cut the papers. I'm sorry, dude.
Nope.
Grant's thinking along different lines.
I'm gonna try folding along the diagonal and see if that gives me an advantage.
But Grant can't even crack the 7-fold mark.
Okay.
All intellect thrown out the door, it becomes a Tyson-esque battle between a man and a piece of paper.
Okay, there's almost 7. Obviously, the diagonal's not gonna work.
Carrie's tactic is to focus on the fold.
My way of tackling this 7-paper fold problem is to hopefully use a little bit of compression, a little bit of steam, and a little bit of sanding to make that last fold, which seems to be the problem, a little bit easier.
A homespun touch might be just what this myth needs. After ironing a perfect crease, she rubs it with fine sandpaper.
It's just gonna be a tiny bit thinner. I was just thinking maybe just that like microscopic little edge it could give me.
Her idea may just iron out the kinks in this competition.
Hey, when you're done with this, I was wondering if you can come over and iron my newspaper.
But she, too, runs out of steam at 7.
7 times. That's it. This ends up a spit wad.
Meanwhile, Grant has really been pondering this paper puzzle.
Okay, so I think that this is actually a dimensional problem. And here, this is a piece of 20-pound, 8.5 by 11, like office paper. And it is 3/1000ths of an inch. So, if I make that thinner, theoretically, I should be able to get more folds in the same amount of space. And that's why I have this. This is tracing paper, technically still paper.
Isn't it a little early in the game to start cheating?
Still paper.
A cheat? Quite the contrary. Grant sees himself as a purist.
No hammer, no clamp, no sanding.
Plus, he has a cunning plan to fold lengthwise repeatedly, then widthwise repeatedly.
Now for the folding in half.
If you fold a piece of paper in alternating directions, it doesn't constrain itself with each fold. So it's easier to keep folding.
There's number 8.
8.
But someone still doesn't want to concede defeat.
22. 23.
Grant, Tori, and Carrie are trying to burn a hole in the 7-paper fold myth.
You got something you want to say, Grant?
As a matter of fact, I do. I think it's clear that I won the competition with 8 folds, and not only did I win, I busted the myth.
You know what, though? You got 8 folds, but you changed the method of the folding. The obvious way would be to fold it in half, turn it 90 degrees, and fold it again. Every time we tried to do that, we couldn't get more than 7 folds. I mean, there might be some truth to this myth.
Well, if we use a really big piece of paper, I think there's a possibility that we could get more than 7 folds.
Okay, then let's get the biggest piece of seamless paper we can find and try it again.
All right then. They roll out the biggest seamless piece of paper they could find, 12.5 by 15 feet. In theory, increasing the paper's dimensions should make it easier to reach the elusive 8-fold goal.
You want to have big biceps? Do this. Do this exercise.
For the first couple of folds, the paper is a pushover, but it's shrinking with surprising speed.
Gets real small real fast.
Sure does.
This is 6. It's starting to get feisty.
I don't know about you guys, but it's not looking good for the MythBusters.
They reach the 7th fold. Now to go for the number 8 and break the myth.
All right, you're making a mess of my paper.
So this is 7. We're supposed to get 1 more fold?
Well, maybe.
Good luck.
But no matter what sick methods of intimidation they try, the paper doesn't break.
I like to use the method, don't you?
Ladies and gentlemen, the pulp is victorious.
I have to say, this is not looking like an honest 8. It's looking like an honest 7. But unless it just stays in that folded position, I think this 8 might be a little sketchy.
We're stretching it.
The team is all torn up, even using a piece of paper the size of a room, 288 times larger than the letter-size paper. They couldn't crack the 7-fold ceiling. So now what?
This is 6 times thicker than the tracing paper. If we could learn anything from this little exercise, it would be we need to go thinner and we need to go bigger.
Bigger? You got it, Carrie. No one knows space like NASA, and they have plenty of it at an empty airship hangar they've given us clearance to use at Moffett Field. At more than 200 feet high, 1,000 feet long, and 300 feet wide, our crew will really be able to explore the outer reaches of this myth. Their mission? To fold a piece of paper that's almost the size of a football field. The biggest attempt of its kind in the world.
It's huge.
I don't know if this is going to be big enough.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's not a piece of seamless paper on the planet big enough, the plan is to get 17 individual rolls and lay them out side by side. Covering 170 by 220 feet, the team will join them together with double-sided tape. Then they'll use whatever methods necessary to try and fold it into a submission.
Basically, you're going to have to fill this whole area.
Yeah, well, we have 170 feet this way and 220 this way before we get to any equipment. So will that work out for us?
Yeah, it's perfect to scale up an 8.5 by 11 sheet.
Dude, this is going to be a long day.
We have a lot of work.
Then let's roll.
All the way back right to this corner right here.
The paper they're using is special order.
This is the thickness of regular office paper, about 3/1000. What we tried to do in the shop, where we couldn't get 7 folds, was twice as thick as this. And when you're talking about trying to achieve this myth, thickness of the paper is really important.
Going larger and thinner might just give them the edge they need to beat this myth. They position the first roll, give it a push, and they're off.
This is going to be the biggest piece of paper ever.
1 down. 16 more to go.
Their first 220 feet of scroll has been successfully unrolled. To secure roll number 2, they need
double-side tape.
Inch by inch, they press the sticky stuff along the edge of the paper.
Keep it in line.
Now, this, folks, is an example of highly focused, synchronized taping teamwork in action. Time to truck in roll number 2.
Coming down.
Roll down, tape down. I think we get the concept.
I hear this is good for your back.
The art of paper folding is an intricate and time-consuming pursuit that is also often very rewarding. As they set up for the biggest paper folding attempt in history, our team is having difficulty appreciating this.
Maybe I just lie here and it'll get itself done.
The problem that we have right now is I don't think any of us is realizing exactly the kind of scale we're talking about for this experiment. Essentially, this is a sheet of paper the size of a football field, and just maneuvering that, even seaming it together so it's one piece of paper, is going to be a major, major challenge.
Better put them in lockdown so they can't escape.
So it sounded so much easier on paper.
Back at the pool, Jamie and Adam are testing ways to escape a car that's plunged into the drink. They've already discovered that if you wait for the cabin to fill with water so the differential pressure equalizes and releases its grip on the doors, it could be too late. Now, they're going to try out a modified survival technique.
Oh, here we are, day 2.
The first maneuver on their cheating death checklist is to try and open the door before the car starts to sink.
I figure for this particular technique to work, you need to do it right the minute you hit the water. If you hesitate, it's all over and you gotta ride it out.
Here we go.
Adam's plan of action is,
I'm just gonna wait until the water gets up to my ankles, and then I'm gonna try and open the door. There we go. Oh man. Oh, that sound is so wrong.
the water rushes in.
Okay, I'm starting to see it on the floor. And it's coming up to my ankles. Now I'm gonna try and open the door.
And Adam rushes out.
Surface exit via the door, totally viable. I waited until the water was up to the top of my shoes, and I was still able to push this door open.
The water rises slowly upwards. Next, he's going to wait until it gets to his waist.
Okay, past my shoes, halfway up my shins. All right, now I'm looking at, my God, it's at my knees. I'm not gonna be able to open this door. All right, wait.
This one's no pushover. As the water level climbs, so does the amount of pressure. And Adam has to brace himself against the opposite door to force it open.
I was able to do it.
But only just. This time, he's going even higher.
I'm gonna wait until I see water hit the top of this window. Then I'm gonna use all my strength against the opposite door to try and push it open. Dude, I'm gonna have dreams about this tonight. All right. Water's getting to the top of the window here. All right, here we go. It's almost at the top, almost there. 3, 2, 1, go.
The differential pressure on the other side of the door has become too strong and holds it shut. Adam gamely pushes back, but he's like a krill fighting a whale. It's not long before it's RIP for our little crustacean.
I think we found the cutoff point. Exiting the car via the door after it hits the water is a viable option, but you have a very small window. By the time you can see water halfway up your window, it's pretty much too late.
Back over at Paperfold HQ, the pigeons living in the rafters have left some pointed messages on the team's blank sheets.
It's everywhere.
Nasty.
They'd better tread very carefully. The art of paper folding, known as origami, is believed to have originated as long ago as the 1st century AD in China. Masters of the craft believe it is a pursuit in which you can unlock the secrets of creation.
It looks like a big giant diaper.
That might be a stretch for our novices here today, but finally they reach the last joint.
All hands on deck.
Disperse yourself at even intervals.
Yeah, we gotta space out.
Yeah!
And so the paper becomes one.
That went so much better than I
Piece
thought.
of cake. I thought this was gonna be hard.
Looking down from a bird's eye view, it's an impressive sea of white. No wonder those pigeons couldn't resist.
Ooh, look at this ocean of paper. I think this is going to be probably the biggest attempt to fold a piece of paper more than 7 times.
Actually, in 2002, there's this high school student named Brittany Gallivan, and for an extra credit project, she did the 7-paper fold and got more than 7 folds.
What? How?
She used toilet paper and folded it lengthwise, but the toilet paper was 4,000 feet long.
How many folds did she get?
She got 12 folds. She had to use a shopping mall, and it took over 7 hours to fold.
Wow, that's impressive. She may have beaten the 7-paper fold, but she did it lengthwise. I still think the spirit of the myth is folding it in half, turning it 90, and folding it again.
That's true, and within the parameters of the spirit of the myth, that record is still up for grabs.
I say we do it. We just gotta be careful we don't get any paper cuts.
With the paper build finished, they can finally begin folding. It's socks only as the whole MythBusters crew grabs an edge.
Everyone ready? Ready. All right, here we go.
Slowly.
Slowly.
Slowly, they pull back the paper, being very careful where they step. But the pigeon droppings aren't their only worry.
My new worry is that this paper's gonna rip when we start trying to fold it. I mean, it's really thin. And the size of these pieces of paper, so heavy, I just see ripping for days.
Is there an ill wind blowing?
It's already a really, really difficult task. The paper has got the littlest breeze, and it starts to fly.
One rip and their best laid plans will be shredded.
Uh-oh, we got a situation.
If you drive your car into the drink, you can't get out alive unless you open a door at precisely the right moment. So is there another window of opportunity?
So we know it's pretty much impossible to open the door once the car is submerged and underwater. The question everyone asks after that is, well, why didn't you open the window? That's what I'm going to do a shop test to find out. I have one electrically powered window and I have one manual powered window. I'm going to put them under the same kind of strain that they'd experience underwater and try and open them.
The 350 pounds Adam is adding is equivalent to the pressure the window would be under at a depth of just 2 feet.
I do not know of a more visual way to make clear how much pressure you're dealing with when you put things underwater.
Then he tries to crank it open.
I should point out that I'm in a really good position for leverage to open this window.
There's not even a sliver of a crack.
There it goes. It just failed. Yeah, the gear just slipped. Under that kind of pressure, there's so much force pushing the glass against the frame of the car that the manual lever is going to break.
Maybe electric windows have more power, but the common perception is they don't even work underwater.
This is the electric door, and the first thing I want to do is dump the electric door in this container with the battery and see how long the electrics hold out for. Okay, here we go.
Battery's on the bottom.
They let it steep. After 45 minutes, surprisingly, it's still going strong.
So you shouldn't be counting on the electrics to allow you to open up the electric window, but it certainly doesn't short out immediately like I thought it would.
So it's not out of the question that power windows could still work underwater. But what about the effect of differential pressure?
You ready?
Uh-huh.
The burden of 350 pounds pressing down on the glass is a real pain.
No, it's not budging. You can see it flex.
Yeah, you can see it trying, but it ain't going nowhere.
So with electric or manual windows, neither would you.
Automatic windows, you are just as screwed as you are with manual windows. 350 pounds of pressure. That's only 2 feet underwater. It's like the bare minimum you'd be encountering. As long as there's still air in the cabin of the car, you would not be able to open this window.
But Adam isn't prepared to expire a third time.
Now that we know you can't open that window because of the pressure, the question remains as to how to open that window. And I'd say you break it. The question is how.
Their plan is to try to break the glass using various items you'd likely have within your reach inside a submerged vehicle. For starters, keys.
All right, you ready?
Go for it.
Adam smacks the glass, but it doesn't crack.
I'm actually able to get a good solid hit on that. Nothing. I'd say keys are busted.
Next on call, a cell phone.
You're just pounding for your life. You're screwed.
Then Adam suits up for another attempt.
So Adam, this is like you've just stolen a car and you got a little carried away and escaping the cops, and now you're underwater, so you're in trouble.
Right, is that my motivation?
Yeah.
Right.
So busting an escape hole might be possible with steel-toed boots.
Oh, ooh, that's so cold. Okay, I'm gonna get to kicking this window out right away.
But the window doesn't crumble. If he had just carried out his community service sentence, he would have lived.
No.
Nothing?
Nope.
None of the items that would be laying around randomly in your car worked for us to break a window. So we get to try the commercially available ones. This is a hammer thing with a point on it, and this is a spring-loaded punch.
They tried the underwater emergency hammer first.
Oh!
What a difference.
Wow!
One hit.
That was instantaneous.
I'll be darned. Well,
that works.
Amazing. A product that does exactly what it says on the box. Next up is a store-bought center punch device, a tool that's normally used to dent a surface prior to drilling.
Put it up against the glass and push, and it does that.
Yeah.
And luckily, I have one more car door.
A new door is submerged, and they're ready for the count.
3, 2, 1. Wow, my hand just went right through.
The reason the store-bought products work is because car windows are made of tempered glass. This means they've been heat-treated so that their surfaces are under compression. Fracture it, and this tension shatters.
That's lovely. The products meant to get you out of that car did exactly that perfectly on the first try each.
It doesn't take much, but it has to be the right thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The guys are completely sold on the commercially designed escape products.
Well, I've got a center punch in my toolkit, and I think one's going to find its way into my glove compartment.
At last, a release. Back over at NASA, our team is finding out that folding a football field-sized piece of paper isn't exactly a breeze.
For instance, the fact that it turns into a giant windsock with the littlest bit of a breeze. There's air trapped underneath it.
But they managed to rein in the billowing parachute without any tears for an official Fold 1.
Let it fall. Pull the slack. Oh, that was beautiful.
They reposition for the next crease.
We're gonna fold that direction.
It's like trying to fold the world's biggest bed sheet.
It's crumpling in weird ways. It's not folding smoothly.
But the team manages to smooth out the wrinkles and make folds 2, 3,
Hey, notice we're all getting a little closer?
4, 5,
Everybody to this side for 6.
and 6. Neat and tidy tuckings.
It's actually like an airbag.
However, with each pass, the additional layers make it harder to heave over. And at Fold 7, everyone and everything is starting to puff.
A lot of air.
Yeah, and it's not going down. There it is.
Yeah, push your foot.
7 is squashed out. Now, the team is about to go for 8. If they achieve this, they will bust the 7 paper fold myth.
See how everybody's very quiet? Because we're all anticipating busting this myth. We folded it 7 times. We're about to go for number 8.
Here goes number 8. Looking good. I think we're gonna do it.
The paper tries to dig in its heels, but is losing its grip.
Come on.
And we did it!
Yeah! 8!
That is 8!
8!
It sure feels satisfying to beat a paper myth to a pulp.
If you draw a line all the way down, you'll be able to intersect every layer, and that is a true 8 folds. And that busts this myth.
There's no stopping our out-of-control paper pushers now. If it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. Carrie trucks in a giant rolling pin to flatten this piece of puff pastry some more.
Flat as a pancake!
As smooth as rolled dough, it folds back easy as pie.
9.
9!
To achieve double digits, the paper is too heavy for the team to lift themselves, so they stick a fork in it.
Drive in. Drive in.
Oh.
That is a definite 10.
Topping 10 is going to be tough. Thanks to their buddy Exponential Growth, the paper is now 1,024 layers thick. It takes every ounce of strength they have to bend it.
You got it?
That feels like an honest 11 to me.
Nice! Yeah! 11!
Not only did they bust 7 folds, they turned it up all the way to 11.
You definitely put this one to bed.
Absolutely.
Well, as far as our definition for the myth goes as the fold, we've got it long, we've got it flat. If we do any bit more, it's just gonna be a semicircle. We got 11 folds out of a football-sized piece of paper. We busted a myth, and we're gonna go home before the sun completely goes down. 11 folds.
I didn't think it was possible.
Should we go to the NASA gift shop?
Yeah.
If you drive into a body of water, you don't get more than one chance to escape. So is there a best hope scenario? Jamie and Adam are trying to find out.
Something tells me we're not quite done yet, are we?
No. No, we have a whole roster of survival techniques that we've heard about for getting out of a car once it's sinking in the water, and I think we owe it to the fans to try them all out.
So we're going back to the pool.
We are.
Okay. I'll get my wetsuit.
Excellent.
They've done their homework at M5. But it's way more exciting diving back into real-life situations. Next, if your windows jam or it's too late to get them down, you've got to go for broke.
The next survival technique we're going to try is breaking the window. Unfortunately, we can't break the window because it's a pool and, you know, people would get glass in their feet or something. So what we've done is rig the window with a lubricant and with high voltage so that we can really positively pull it down.
The high voltage trigger should be enough to counter the differential pressure.
All right, here we go. That sound again. Here we go, rushing in past my feet. Wow, we are dropping really fast. All right, I'm sinking really fast now. I'm about to hit the switch. In 3, 2, 1.
Adam hits the switch and water enters the cabin like a flood. But he rides out the torrent and escapes.
I lived. The water rushed in just as I thought it would, and it was quite intense. But I held my breath. I only had to hold it for a few seconds because pretty much very quickly the cab filled up. I was able to just go out the window and come to the surface.
By smashing the window, Adam survived. So in case of emergency, break glass. As the silent observer of Adam's numerous dunkings, Jamie has had time to meditate, and he's had a vision. He calls his revelation
Simply patience. The idea being that if you sit there, you relax, you conserve your energy and therefore your air, you'll be able to apply your energy when you need it, right at the last minute when the car's equalized and there's not going to be any problem getting out of it, instead of sitting there fighting the whole way and then you drown.
Adam is at peace with Jamie's guidance.
Let the car fill up. Let it settle on the bottom. Then casually open the door and swim to the surface. It's the maximum conservation of energy technique. It's very Jamie.
Gone through this before. Totally relax.
Adam centers himself inside the cabin. As the water level rises, he goes with the flow and serenely lets the car fill with water. He's under just as long as he was in the first test, but now he's not using up oxygen trying to yank open the door. The emergency air tank remains untouched. Now that's calm under differential pressure. When the cabin equalizes, he gently pushes open the door.
I survived! Woo! The MythBusters technique worked! Woo! How many minutes was I down?
1 minute 37.
1 minute 37. I could have been down for another 15 or 20 seconds. That was beautiful. It was so, it was very cool. The longest period of time for the car to level out. Once it did though, I still felt like I had plenty of breath. I just cracked the door, gave a thumbs up to the camera, and sauntered up to the surface.
Jamie has a final, watery rumination.
Of course, in the real world, this technique's a little more problematic. Everything's happening so fast, you don't know what the depth of the water that you're in is. Best is to open that window before you get water up to it, and then you're golden.
In the words of a Zen master, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are few. Looks like the guys have narrowed down this myth, just so.
Well, how are we going to wrap this one up?
Well, the original myth we started with, that you can't open the car door until the cab is full of water, is absolutely confirmed. And we've actually looked at 4 really viable survival techniques.
Of course, the best one is just don't drive into the water in the first place.
I'll try and remember that. My personal favorite is your Zen technique.
It worked. It worked like a charm.
That was awesome.
I was just sitting there watching you go. You're looking at your watch, you're kind of chilling out.
Totally. Actually, I find it really relaxing to chill out. I'm going to finish up by doing a little more meditating in the car at the bottom.
Okay.